All right, guys, welcome everyone back to our Week 8 takeaways that we have today. And what a week! Or before we get started here, my name is Treyson Dayton. And this is TD Sports Press. Like I said, welcome everyone. And what a week of college football that we have for Week 8. We could go a lot of different directions. A lot of great games that we need to go over, and we've had some people get fired today. I mean, it's just another Sunday in college football, and it takes some time to reflect and move on. So I think it was only appropriate that we started the show with this text right here. Billy Napier fired at the Florida Gators today. This is coming after a win after they beat Mississippi State. I thought that he might last another couple weeks there. So I was not prepared for Billy Napier to get fired today. I thought it was going to happen at some point this year, but the way that it happened, geez, I did not expect for that to happen today. So Billy Napier gets fired. Florida, they have a lot of opportunities and stuff they can do right now, I would say, but it's not looking good at Florida. Right now, DJ Lagway, when you don't, Florida's a team that we talked about at the beginning of the year, possibly making the playoffs, and, you don't get off to a good start, and, it kind of haunts you there. So losing to USF was where everything went wrong for Billy Napier, I would say. Also, you could look at his whole record. He was 20-23 there. I think Billy Napier will probably coach again next year, probably at a group of 5 school. But that's what I'm kind of thinking with, the Florida Gators. They fired their head coach. The short list to be the head coach there, they probably really want Lane Kiffin to go to Florida. I'll be honest with you guys, I have a hard time seeing Lane Kiffin leave Florida for Florida. I think he really likes Ole Miss. He can lose 3 games at Ole Miss, and he's not going to get his job fired. So, but at the end of the day, if Lane Kiffin does pick Florida, the reason that he will pick Florida is because of money. And maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't think he's getting paid enough at Ole Miss. But we'll be talking more about Lane Kiffin later. Maybe James Franklin. Maybe James Franklin is a guy that could get involved into the Florida, job search. And I think there's some names that are definitely been floating around over at Florida. I think this is the kind of move you do that you kind of have someone lined up for the job, maybe. But we'll definitely see. But this is a new landscape of college football. I mean, it's not 9 wins is the new 10 wins, and the old 11 wins are now 10 wins. So especially when you're playing 15 to 16 college football games a year, I think that's definitely that's kind of what I'm seeing with it. But and also I guess we'll also mention this as well. The Colorado State head coach got fired. It was coming. I mean, Colorado State has not lived to expectations this year. Last year they were mid at best. And that's kind of where I want to leave it there. The coaching search has like 8 Power 4 jobs and probably 3 or 4 group of 5 jobs. But hey, it's not all, it's not awful. I mean, UAB fired their coach last week, and this week they beat Memphis. So you can take that as you want, but that's kind of how I see it right now. So good for Florida. I hope nothing but success for Billy Napier. You never want to cheer on someone to lose their job, but hey, he's getting paid $10 million in the next 30 days. So, and plus he has I think it's a $20 million buyout, and he gets half of it within 30 days. So, hey, I'm sure he was like Coach O said at LSU when he got fired. Show me my money and where's the front door. That's kind of what Billy Napier did today in Gainesville. So. That's where we'll leave it there. So now let's get to the actual what happened on the football field yesterday. Enough of this talk, and we had to start here. We definitely had to start here. So, whoops, this graphic is all messed up. Jeez, that's okay. Anyways, we got Louisville beat number 2 Miami 24-21. Miami this was as bad as you could possibly think it was for, what they wanted to do right now. So, like I said, Louisville won 24-21. Carson Beck 4 interceptions. Miami runs the ball for like 60 yards on the ground. This is just something that you did not think you were going to see when you watched this game. Like I said, the model was really high on Miami coming into this game. And if you would have told me Miami had 55 yards, that offensive line that they have, I would have told you you're crazy. But that's what happened. I mean, Carson Beck throws in 4 interceptions. You can say some were picks, some were tipped, but he's got to make better decisions. And Miami, it looks like Louisville just told Carson Beck that we are not going to bring pressure and we are going to make you throw the ball to beat us. And they couldn't beat him last night. Miami's defense couldn't guard a mesh route last night. I mean, everything that Louisville ran was crosses right to the middle of the field, and they couldn't stop it, whether that was their tight end or their X receiver. Miami just couldn't stop it last night. They just couldn't stop it. I mean, there's no two ways about it. So they got to figure out some things at Miami. At number 2, you'll see where I moved them in my rankings. If you're on TikTok, you probably already saw a ranking, so you already know where we moved them at. But I don't know. Miami, and this just seems like another Miami year. It kind of is going like last year, where they're undefeated. They're so this, they're so that, and they at the end of the year they lay 2 eggs to Georgia Tech and they get beat by Syracuse, and here they get beat by Louisville. If they play again like this, Miami, they will lose more games in the ACC. You can mark that down. If Miami runs for 60 yards and throws 4 interceptions, or even 2 interceptions at that matter, they will find a way to lose. And let's talk about Louisville. This is a big win for Louisville. They moved up a lot in my rankings. They have one loss to Virginia as of right now. So, I mean, everything's in front of Louisville. So this is a big win and can really catapult them into that ACC championship picture, which is kind of congested right now. And Miami doesn't even own their own destiny at this point. So it's gonna get wild in the ACC. Just mark my words. The ACC is gonna get wild, and then we're gonna talk about another conference. I honestly, every conference besides the Big Ten is gonna be crazy. So I think we'll just leave it there. All right. But like I said, guys, go follow us on YouTube right here. Give us a sub. It'll be awesome. We're at 15 subscribers right now. We're trying to get to 20 by next week, so that'd be awesome. And check out our TikTok. Just hit 14,000 followers over there, and we're already on the road to 15K over there. So we'll definitely see what happens over there. So with that being said, let's move on to our next game that we have. And we're talking about Lane Kiffin. We just talked about Lane Kiffin in the Florida job. Let's talk about what he did, his production on the field. Number 9, Georgia beats number 5, Ole Miss, 43-35. And you guys might be thinking, Ole Miss, they made it close at the end, but just didn't dominate. And if you guys watched the game in the entirety and you told me that Georgia won this football game, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. Georgia couldn't stop a cold until the 4th quarter. And after that, I mean, Georgia just played lockdown defense. I mean, Ole Miss, if I got my stats correct, scored a touchdown on every single drive until the middle of the 4th quarter, or was it early in the 4th quarter, one or the other. But what that's absolutely insane. I don't remember that happening to a Georgia. They just couldn't get any pressure on the quarterback. And that's just not normally what happens at Georgia. Lane Kiffin, he had a great game plan. They just couldn't execute at the end of the game. I think they punted twice and had turned over downs or something like that. And I tell you guys, I said this last week, but it really looks like Kirby Smart is really enjoying this Georgia team this year. You just look at the way that he interacts with them team, and it's a lot better. He probably thinks that this is not his best team that he has, but this is the most fun that he's had on a team. So I think, Kirby Smart is really enjoying this year so far. So at least that's how he portrays it on the sidelines. So big win for Georgia as well. Georgia moves up in my rankings. Ole Miss, and I said this last week, that it just feels like whatever team the SEC needs to get a win is going to get a win. And this was just another sign of it. Georgia was desperate for that win. And Ole Miss, they would have liked to win, but did they need to win? We'll see. Maybe at the end of the year, that's a game that keeps them out of the college football playoff. I really doubt it. I think if Ole Miss goes in with one loss, they will make the college football playoff. But we will see. But that was a classic. We just get classic SEC games every single Saturday. So we'll be talking about some more definitely coming up. So we're going to switch gears and go to the Big 12 here. The Big 12 owned Fox yesterday. They had two of their marquee games going on over there. So you look at this game. Arizona State played Texas Tech. Texas Tech was ranked number 7. Texas Tech did not have their starting quarterback. And Arizona State won this 26-22. And this is another tell of a team that is desperate for a win versus a team that would like to win. And Arizona State coming off, being embarrassed by Utah 42-10. Gets the win over a Texas Tech team, and it was not pretty for Arizona State. They had this game, kind of, I wouldn't say wrapped up, but it was looking really good for them, and Texas Tech puts a couple drives and scores, and then, Arizona State goes down and scores, and, Texas Tech, they have that Hail Mary at the end of the game, and they lost. So the Big 12, I think, is wide open right now. We'll be talking about another team that's moving up in the Big 12 standings in a little bit. You probably don't know which game we're talking about. But, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I thought would happen. Texas Tech quarterback didn't play. And, yeah, I mean, no one's immune to a loss in the Big 12. The Big 12 is just crazy. Both these schools have one loss right now. We'll talk about Utah later, but there's a lot of teams with one loss, and then you got Cincinnati and BYU that are still undefeated. So we'll be talking about BYU a little bit later. So, I mean, you look at this game, I'm not surprised the way it turned out. Honestly, I did pick Texas Tech to win this game, but Arizona State did what they had to win. They did what they had to win, and that's what they did. Sam Levitt had a bounce-back game after not playing. He talked about how he was almost in tears going on the bus to the Utah game because he wasn't playing. So he was going to be ready to go. He was going to be ready to go, and he played a great game. So hats off to Arizona State. They got to win in the Big 12 when they needed it most, and they stay in the Big 12 championship race. So that's all that matters at the end of the day. So let's move on to our next game. We're back in the SEC. Number 17, Vanderbilt played number 10, LSU, and Vanderbilt won this game 31-24. And Vanderbilt coming off a loss to Alabama, they had to have this one. And you could say the same thing for LSU, but I don't think LSU's in the top. I wouldn't say they're in the top tier of the SEC. Brian Kelly and LSU, this is another job I wouldn't be surprised if it comes open at the end of the year. Like, I think LSU fans are sick of Brian Kelly. I think Brian Kelly's sick of LSU. He said he wanted to come to LSU because he wanted to win a national championship, and the team that he's currently with hasn't even made the playoffs. Haven't even made the playoffs at this point. The team that he used to coach played for the national championship last year. So things aren't looking good in LSU. You look at Vandy, you got to give credit to Vandy. Their big tight ends made play after play. Every third down, it felt like they were just, catching balls, just getting what they need to do. LSU they could not match it. Vandy brought a lot of pressure, and LSU they couldn't get with it. And Vandy, I mean, they're a team that we talked about in the preseason that could definitely go off. And this is a game that I'm not surprised by. Diego Pavia is playing his way into the Heisman race. He did the Heisman pose at the end of the game. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think he needs to be striking that anytime. But, Vanderbilt, they just find ways to win. And this is another case of this in LSU. I don't know. I don't know about LSU. It's a hard time to be an LSU fan. And I don't think it's going to get any better. I see LSU probably with another 2 losses down the stretch. So that's what I would say. Moving on, let's talk about number 13, Notre Dame played number 20, USC, and Notre Dame won this game 34-24. I would say this game is closer than what the box score shows. USC went up 20-17, and the Notre Dame running back, not Jeremiah Love, the other, or something Price, I forgot what his first name was off the bat, but takes it back 106 yards on a kickoff return. Tell me why the NFL got rid of the kickoff, because that's what they got rid of it. And Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love, he's looking really good right now. He's playing like one of the best, running backs in the country. Both running backs. I think Notre Dame is starting to find their stride a little bit. I know this is USC, and people can, say USC's back or whatever it was, but Notre Dame just beats USC in the most Notre Dame way possible, just running the football. CJ Carr, went out and game managed, and that's what happened. On the flip side, you look at USC, they still have everything in front of them. This wasn't a loss in the Big Ten. They only have one loss in the Big Ten to Illinois. They still got Oregon down the stretch as well. They go to Nebraska, which doesn't seem as not daunting as well. So, I mean, USC will have chances down the stretch to make a run at the Big Ten championship. But college football playoff is not looking too good for USC. This looks like another down year for Lincoln Riley. I don't know how many more years he can do that at USC before he gets fired. So, I'm very interested to see what happens in that aspect of it. So, that's what I would say. But, I mean, you got to give hats off to Notre Dame. I think they'll make the playoff. I think they will. I don't think we're ready for that conversation, but I think they'll make the playoff. Do they deserve to? The same thing we said last week. It makes no sense to me why it is fair that Notre Dame is not in a conference in this day and age. I understand they have a great relationship with NBC. If you have a great relationship with NBC, then go ahead and join a conference with the Big Ten. You get to play Michigan and USC, Ohio State, all those great teams. But, hey, hats off to Notre Dame. Great win, and this is a win that is going to matter down the stretch. If Notre Dame didn't win this game, they probably wouldn't make the college football playoff. That's what I said on Thursday about this game, and they went out and got the job done. So, shout out to Notre Dame, like I said about 4 times. So, USC, they got to find some stuff out, and, they got Big Ten play coming up, so... And I really hope we get this game down, a lot more. I hope this wasn't the last time we see these two teams play for a while. I hope they figure it out in their schedules when they can play. So, but yeah, great games there. Moving on. Yeah, I think there were a lot of people waiting for us to talk about this game and what we thought about this. We had number 15 BYU against number 23 Utah. BYU won this game 24-21. Utah scored a garbage town touchdown. It was 24-14 is how I like to say it. I don't even know where to begin with Utah. This is not the Utah of old anymore. But let's start with BYU first. They won the game. BYU, Bear was a great quarterback last night. Yeah, his numbers didn't look great, but he made impactful plays. He had a run that kind of sealed the deal on a 3rd and 10. He had a quarterback draw right up the middle, and he just ran over the Utah defense. I don't remember the last time a quarterback did that against a Utah defense. And Bear was hurdling players. It just looks like a new... If you guys have been following the Holy War, BYU's won 3 straight, and it's not looking good for Utah. And BYU, they are right. I mean, heavens, I moved them up a lot of rankings after this big win. And they're a team in the Big 12 that could definitely make some noise. I think they'll make the college football playoff. I think this is a team that definitely could make the college football playoff. I think it's a team that can win the Big 12. I'm excited for Texas Tech and BYU in a couple weeks. BYU goes to Iowa State next week, so I'm interested in that game. See what BYU does on the road against a quality team like Iowa State. Hopefully everyone's healthy for Iowa State. And then you look at Utah. Kyle Whittingham lost Utah the game. I have never seen a coach lose a game the way that Kyle Whittingham lost a game for Utah last night. There were 3 different, instances last night where they could have kicked a field goal and they left 9 points on the board. They got beat by 10. The one that I baffled me was not the first one or the second one. It was the third one. They were down 17-14, I think, or maybe it was still 7-10. Maybe it was still 7-10. It's 4th and 3 at like the 15-yard line. BYU has stuffed you the entire night, and they go for it. It was just one of the baffling things I've seen in this holy war. It makes no sense to me. It felt like last night Kyle Whittingham really just wanted to run the ball up the middle and show BYU who has the power. And it was not Utah last night. BYU, out of the outside gaps and the middle gap, had like 150 yards right up the middle. And another thing that doesn't make sense for me when you look at this game is why in the world did Utah not run that fly sweep or that read fly sweep the entire game? I mean, BYU could not stop that. And they just go away from it. They were trying to throw it. Napier can't throw. I know Utah fans might not like that. He's not a good downfield quarterback. You need to get him in the run game. And I don't know. There's a lot of questions over at Utah right now. They haven't won a big game in forever. The last time they won a big game was probably the USC game with Caleb Williams when they had Bryson Barnes go down the length of the field with like a minute to go and beat USC. That's like the last big game I remember Utah winning. And I don't think it's going to get any better for Utah. I think this is just it's going to go down. It's going to go downhill for Utah. I think this is a year that might get away from them if they don't get their play calling figured out. Because it was inexcusable the way Utah won. Utah doubled BYU, double in yardage. Like, they were going up and down the field, and they had a head coach that forgot that they can kick a field goal. Like, I'm dumbfounded. What in the world was Kyle Whittingham doing last night? Because he was not locked in, and it showed. Like, seriously, in my lifetime, as a guy that's followed college football forever, I never thought I'd say these words, that BYU is a better football program than Utah right now with Kyle Whittingham as the head coach. Never thought I would say those words in this rivalry. So, hats off to BYU and Kalani Sitake. They did what they were supposed to. They took care of business, and now they go to Iowa State. So, that's where we'll leave that. Moving on, Missouri played Auburn, and this was a double OT classic. Missouri won this 23-17 against Auburn, and Auburn is a team that could be 6-1 right now. I know there's a lot of people calling for Hugh Freeze's job to be gone, but trust me when I say this, Hugh Freeze does not deserve to go. It is not his fault. Some of it is, but the quality of competition they're playing with these teams. They really are playing with these teams. Missouri's another good football program, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. So I'm not surprised by the result here. I thought that Auburn would give Missouri a game. It just sucks that, Auburn just can't put it all together. I mean, Jackson Arnold and Hugh Freeze, like I said, this was something we talked about in the preseason. There's a lot of pressure on those two right now. So we'll see what happens with the rest of the time. But as of right now, I mean, Missouri picks up a win. They go to Vandy. We'll be talking about that game later this week. And, Vandy picks up the win. Missouri picks up the win. And we're talking Missouri and Vandy has college game days. Try telling yourself that 3 years ago. That's where college game day's going. So, you got to shout out to Missouri for winning the game. And Auburn, they got to pick themselves up. I mean, the SEC, it picks you up and spits you out. That's what I like to say about it. So, we'll see what goes on. We got our last game here, and I thought it was only sentimental we end with this one because this is the team that I picked to win the national championship in the preseason, and they haven't looked better the entire year. We got number 6 Alabama, who I picked in the preseason, versus number 11 Tennessee, 37-20. Alabama was dominant. This is an Alabama team that is playing with confidence. 4 straight ranked wins in a row. Nick Saban, I think, did that one other time. I mean, Kalen DeVore has saved his job at Alabama. I mean, there's still some stuff they definitely want to play for at the end of the year, but Alabama just punched their ticket to college football playoff. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll lose a couple games, but the way that Alabama is, playing on all cylinders right now, I mean, you got to give it up to Alabama for the way they've been playing lately. And this is a huge win for Alabama against a Tennessee squad that's kind of had their number lately. And Tennessee, they got 2 losses now. You got to be careful. I think you can go 9-3 in the SEC and still make it. You got one more, but it depends on who they beat as well. So I have no idea who's going to be playing in Atlanta in the SEC championship. There's so many, one-loss teams that I have my eyes on right now. So with that being said, that was our last takeaway of the night. Here's some quick takeaway thoughts. Our bet of the week was Ohio State minus 25.5 over Wisconsin. They won 34-0, so our best bet of the week is 2-0. We've had that the last couple weeks. We picked BYU to beat Arizona, and then this one, Ohio State to cover. And Indiana won 38-13. They did what they were supposed to. Georgia Tech. Hey, how many people are going to keep doubting Georgia Tech? They just keep finding ways to win. Haynes King. Man, he's a good quarterback. Man, he's a great quarterback is what I would say. So, that's the end of our takeaways. I don't even want to get started on Nebraska. I forgot to cover that game. Nebraska fans, I'm sorry. That's about all I can say about Nebraska. It's the same old Nebraska. A lot of expectations and little results. So, yep. So with that being said, thanks for everyone that stayed to this point. If you stayed to this point, leave a thumbs up in the comment section so I know you stayed for the entire video. So shout out to you. If you watched the whole video, you might as well leave a subscribe. It would help us out. We're at 15 subscribers, trying to get to 20 subscribers by Sunday. So if you guys can help us reach that, that'd be awesome. And with that being said, like I said, live shows Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, 65 and 24 and pick so far. So we are looking really good, 65 and 24. And we will be back live on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. and we'll be discussing our Week 9 games. So with that being said,